Group is a digital agency working at the intersection of marketing, creativity, and technology. I'd like to introduce you to today's presenters. Alex Ash. Alex is our marketing automation team lead. So today's agenda, we'll walk you through how to use the GoToWebinar to ask us questions during the workshop today. And then we'll dive into some common questions and concerns, jump into the actual Marketo platform to walk you through our best practices there. And then if you have any questions at the end, feel free to ask throughout the presentation and we'll address those at the end. Great. Thanks, Scott.
Hey everyone, this is Alex Ash. I think Scott's going to refer to me as AA and Alex Greger as AG. We know having the same name can get a little confusing. Welcome to our workshop. Welcome to the dark side, if you will. If you didn't see, I think Sarah chatted out the link to the presentation, but if you didn't grab it, it is right there as well. And sorry, that's for the 101 guide for our best practices. So let's go.
Cool. So just kind of some quick admin elements. If you've ever been or if you haven't been in the GoToWebinar platform before, you have the control panel on your right that kind of gives you all the information and technical items that you would need. And so within that, you're able to raise your hand. You're able to ask a question. It's an interactive workshop demoing some different programs and different aspects of the platform. So as we're going through it, if you have any questions that you might have, feel free to ask them through this way, and we'll try to answer them throughout as time allows. So to kind of start it off, the common questions when sending out the invite and registering for this workshop, one of the field elements was a field allowing you to ask questions. So here are a few questions that we kind of saw come through during the registration, and then there are a couple others that we have outside of this that we will touch on. If you have additional questions to build on these, like I said earlier, it's an interactive workshop, so please reach out through the chat and ask us at any time.
All right, so let's get started here. AG, we'll go to you first on this one. Can you give some examples or best practices to keep in mind for when to use the different types of programs?
Definitely. Thanks, Scott. There are 4 different types of programs within Marketo: default, event, engagement, and email. There are different use cases to use each one, some caveats to it. When looking at doing a deployment, blast, you would want to select the email program. A little later, but there's a question on that. But that of communication on an ongoing basis. Default programs can be used for any type of operational programs, data management, acquisition setting, any of those types of programs, as well as like general containers to hold different elements. And then the last one is an event. An event program, the features that like trade show, live event, webinar, gives you the feature of setting people's statuses to invited, registered, no-show, attended. So those are kind of at a high level the use cases on when to use the different types. A caveat to kind of a more advanced, I guess, tip when looking at programs is if you want to organize your programs, having kind of parent bucket programs within other programs. There are only certain program types that allow you to kind of put a child program within that. So when looking at the engagement program, the kind of nurture program with the little plant, you have the ability to embed like an event program or a default program within that. So if you wanted to kind of keep that as your I guess, program bucket and embed an event within that, you can do so, but you can't embed like a single email program within that. It won't allow you. So just some kind of tips there on when trying to structure.
Cool. Thank you. So our next question is regarding the new calendar functionality. Can you tell everyone when we should be using that within Marketo?
Definitely. So a calendar is a additional feature within Marketo. You do have to purchase it or put it as part of your agreement. It comes, I think, usually with 5 users. So you do have a calendar. You can always purchase or ask for additional with your Marketo support or Marketo rep. But the calendar is a great tool to kind of visually see your communications when they're being deployed. It also allows when you have maybe other coworkers that may not be as involved with Marketo, like copywriters or something like that, that want to have a queue or visibility on when communications would be deployed. So it's a great tool to kind of schedule out and maintain kind of a content calendar, if you will. Make sure that you're not overloading records on a single day, that you're sending all kinds of email communications all at once. It also allows you to visually, like I said, see the when emails are going out. When you're scheduling an email within the kind of normal program, you just select the date. That date, you may not think about it, but it may be a Saturday. So by visually seeing it on the calendar allows you to see it and say, oh, do I really want to send an email on a Saturday or Sunday morning? If not, possibly move it quickly. So those are kind of the key points, I guess, on when to utilize the calendar or how to use it.
Okay, I think we have a question that came in regarding the response to the first question here. In addition to embedding an event or child or default, embed another engagement program with an engagement program?
That's like Inception. Can you embed inside embedding? We're getting into Inception kind of concepts. From my understanding, I don't believe you can embed an engagement within another engagement program. You would probably pass somebody off through a trigger or request campaign to move them to that new engagement program. But from my understanding, the only ones that you can really embed inside a nurture or an engagement program are kind of the default program type and the event program type.
Great. All right, the next question I have here is for AA. How can I create great looking emails if I'm not a designer?
Sure, thanks, Scott. So the nice thing about Marketo is that you definitely do not need to be a designer to create great looking emails. I know that I certainly don't come from a design background, and neither does Alex. Functionality to fake it till you make it, if you will, where there is a lot of templates to choose from. So the way you would see those is if you were in an email program, for example, you go to New Local Asset, select your email, and here you go. So this will bring up your template picker, and there's, like I said, tons to choose from for e-commerce, events, newsletters, product announcements, and the nice thing is you can preview these. And then once you actually get into the one that you've chosen, they're pretty easy to customize to your own brand. And there's also modules within here. So if you got in there and you were like, oh, I kind of like this section, but I don't necessarily need or want this section, you are able to delete and move those sections around. Another tool I like to use actually is not even within Marketo, but it's called reallygoodemails.com. So I use this for inspiration a lot, you know, depending on what type of email I'm sending out and maybe who the audience is. I tend to come here quite a bit. So definitely check that out. And the other thing I would add to that is don't reinvent the wheel here, and also A/B test different types of emails, because you don't want to spend, you know, a ton of time designing a really great email. It might be really great and really pretty, but if that's not what your audience is going to engage with, then, you know, you certainly wouldn't want to spend the time doing that. So A/B test different designs, and find what works and resonates with your audience.
Definitely. And one thing to add on, this kind of screen that you're seeing now with the different kind of pre-built templates, this is part of the new release in the Email 2.0 editor. I guess not really new anymore. It's probably 6 to 9 months now past. But this is a great feature that Marketo added on with kind of pre-tested, pre-built templates that you can easily bring into your instance, then have them reskinned for your brand and start utilizing them immediately. So it's a great feature. If you don't see this when you select email on your new local asset, that means you haven't taken your account and upgraded it to Email 2.0. You can upgrade that within the admin section. It's no additional cost. You would just go to admin and then email. Let me pull it up real fast. Admin, email, and then edit email editor, and you want to select new instead of legacy. And then have that checkbox below saying enable Marketo starter template. What this will allow you to do then is see that template library and allow you to select. The other great feature for the new Email 2.0, kind of back to Alex's point on the different types, is having our front-end developers or our email specialists kind of build one single master template, if you will. The new editor really allows you to drag and drop, remove modules as needed, and add modules as needed. So gives you a lot more flexibility. So we kind of have one master template that has all the different editable sections that we would want or think of. And then you bring that in and you select which ones you actually want to use for your specific communication that you're working on. So great new feature within Marketo.
Thanks, Alex and Alex. Our next question is regarding analytics. So are there any key reports that you pull on a monthly basis? We'll throw this one your way, AG.
Definitely. So I think it really depends on the client or the use case. So we pull different reports based on different clients and different needs. I think before you so making sure you have what your goals are, what your KPIs are, and kind of really understand from that standpoint how you want to pull that information or show that information to your leadership team. So once you have that information, Marketo has a variety of different reports, both in the analytics section as well as using smart lists to pull specific reports on leads. We're not connected to a true CRM platform within our instance, so we like to use a tool called Clipfolio, where we kind of aggregate data together from different sources, our CRM, our marketing automation tool, our ad tech tool, and kind of aggregate all of that together and create kind of one executive summary dashboard. Organized fashion that I would make sure to start with the goals and the KPIs in mind. Some key reports that we like to the email performance, whether it's in our nurture programs or single emails going out, making sure that we understand kind of the trends in what is working, what is not inside the email. Actually deploying. We also use smart lists quite a bit to pull reports on life cycle stage, number of new key form fills, so the contact us, the request a demo form fills, making sure that you're reporting on who's filling those out, as well as follow-ups from your sales team. Then the other aspect, CRM connected, this makes it a lot easier to report within the actual CRM system itself. So kind of building your reports and dashboard within Salesforce or Dynamics, for instance, to show kind of channel attribution all the way through to the opportunity level. So understanding kind of where leads are coming from, how they are being tracked through the kind of life cycle stages, how quickly they're moving through it, and then kind of the bottom of the funnel, number of opportunities that are coming out from your marketing initiatives.
And then to Alex's point, he kind of touched on it at the beginning, but you also want to make sure that your lead score model is up to date. So that from a behavior standpoint, you're reporting accurately on, you know, who's qualified as a lead, who's engaging with your content. And Marketo actually has a really great definitive guide to lead scoring. It's probably within the community documents, but if anyone would like to see that, we can definitely shoot that out as well.
So how do you track channels and conversions from an inbound and outbound approach, AA?
Great question. Thanks, Scott. So we use what's called UTM parameters, and if you aren't familiar, UTM parameters are basically tags that are added at the end of a URL for tracking purposes to monitor web source traffic and track success of content. They're also visible within Google Analytics to see where people are coming from and how they're interacting with your content. So good UTM parameters, one, are consistent, and they answer a couple of questions. They answer, where is my traffic coming from? How is it getting directed to me? And why is it coming to me? So to do this within Marketo, you'll first actually have to set these up as custom fields within your admin section. So you'll want to head over to your admin section first, and then they would be custom string fields. So then once you get over to your form that you want to add them on, you are going to add it. And then for your field type is going to be hidden. And then for your behavior, you're going to head down to form pre-fill and make sure that that is disabled, because when it's enabled, it will pre-populate the currently stored value in the leads record if they're cookied. So this is something that if they came back multiple times, you would want to capture every time. And then for autofill, go ahead and open that up. And for your get value from, you are going to change that to URL parameter. And your parameter name is just going to be UTM underscore campaign for the first one. So UTM campaign, UTM medium, what type of link, and then UTM source, Twitter. Those are going to be required. And then we also use UTM content and then UTM term. So you would repeat this process for each one of them there. So then from an outbound perspective, you'll want to make sure that you're including these parameters in your email so that you can see where people are coming from. And so we put these in lots of different places within our email. Our logo, body content links, call to action. So you can see that we do this within the email editor. And if we click on one of the buttons there, you can see the way that we do this is you would have your URL that you wanted to direct them to. And then you'll start the query string with a question mark afterward, and then you're going to add in your UTM parameters. And they would be separated by an ampersand. So UTM medium is email, UTM content is the call to action button. You can sub logo, body content link, call to action on there, just so you are getting a really good understanding of what that person clicked on within your link.
Real quick, one thing to add to Alex's note, and I think she touched on it right at the beginning, is really understand and make sure that the syntax and kind of how you are creating these UTMs is defined across your organization or your marketing team. Really making sure that you know, are you lowercasing everything? Are you using spaces or dashes or pluses? Because Marketo, from an inbound perspective, is just going to collect whatever comes in off of a ad, social post, so on and so forth. And from a Google Analytics standpoint or whatever tool you're using to track, it's only going to collect whatever you give it. And so if you're using kind of misaligned or syntax is kind of different throughout your different programs, it's going to be hard to kind of roll that information up into buckets. So really making sure that across your team you have a clear understanding of what the syntax should be and what each kind of UTM category should be written as, allows you to report on a more efficient basis.
Awesome. So AG, the next question is for you. Is there a way to minimize loss of data from a broken asset?
Yeah, this is a cool question, and actually I think it stems from maybe a summit presentation that happened in 2016. We saw I think it was Jeff Shear and Adam New-Waterston present. They have kind of their tips and tricks presentation every summit that they present. And this one probably stems off of that, I would guess. because it was a pretty cool kind of insight on the Marketo tool. Within Marketo, when you build a landing page asset of any kind, you're setting the URL, and when that URL, when you unapprove that asset, or if you go to a Marketo page that no longer exists or a URL that doesn't exist, Marketo's kind of already set up to redirect you to a fallback page. And you define that fallback page in the admin section. So one of the kind of cool things you can do is in your admin section, don't just put your home page as the fallback, but put your home page plus some kind of query parameter. And that way, if somebody hits an asset that may not exist, or you're sharing a URL that understand and know that that's happening and can fix it pretty quickly without having it kind of be on an ongoing basis for like 6 months to a year, and then looking at it and saying, oh, I lost all that traffic that came to that URL. So this way, when somebody hits that broken URL, they'll be redirected to a page called heilmangroup.com with a query string of fallback page at the end of it. And then on the kind of operations side, if you create a quick smart campaign and alert, you can kind of be very proactive about this, where if somebody hits that page with that kind of query string tied to them, you immediately send an alert out to your team or out to yourself, and within that alert, you have kind of the key information of where they came from. So what page they were trying to hit, and you use tokens for that to kind of really allow you to jump in and immediately see kind of which URL is broken and how to.
Great. So you just mentioned tokens. Our next question is actually about tokens. Alex Ash, can you help us out with this one? When are tokens useful, and can you explain the different types of tokens?
Yes, I would love to. Tokens are my favorite. I could probably talk all day. Have a whole webinar on tokens. And since we're from Cleveland, I'm going to capitalize on the Cavs in that the tokens, in my opinion, should be the MVP or the LeBron James of Marketo. So when you first think about tokens, a lot of what comes to mind are personalization within your emails. And I would just say, please don't stop there. Tokens are so much more useful than just saying, hey, insert first name here within an email. So a couple of different types of tokens. First, you have your field-based or your lead-based. So lead dot first name, company name, lead dot date of birth. The next one would be system, so system dot date time. So for example, if you wanted to add a hidden form field to stamp someone's first form fill, you could use a system token there. Other ways we use system tokens would be the unsubscribes in your footer or view as web page. You also have your campaign and program name token. So if you wanted to dynamically insert those, you could. Your trigger campaigns, or sorry, your trigger token, so your trigger name, so clicks link in email or fills out form, you could use those within your flow steps within a program if you wanted to. And then my personal favorite, the bread and butter of our tokens, and that would be the custom tokens. So within Marketo, you have the ability to create tokens such as my.webinar title, my.event time, my.event date. And the way we use these is that with any of our programs, we are obviously going to have multiple assets. So landing pages, emails, forms, etc. So we create a token sheet, if you will, within that the tokens that we insert into our assets. So you can see there we have my email subject invite 1, email subject line invite 2, email from name. And so what happens is when you update here, this essentially becomes your workspace. So when you update here, this is going to update across all of your assets and make your life way, way easier. Instead of having to go into each individual asset and then update and then approve and then test, it will save you a ton of time, and this is a great example of when you can work smarter, not harder. So a couple of other ways we use tokens, you can use them to score. So within flow steps, for example, if they took an action such as clicking a link in an email, filled out a form, you can actually change their score right within your flow step with a special alert token. So for example, Alex kind of touched on it in his last point about the fallback page. You can actually use a special alert token to within that campaign to say, hey, someone reached this page, go check it out, go fix it. And then if you really wanted to Mario level up, then what you can do is create program templates with these token sheets, for example. So you're going to have certain things in there that aren't going to change a whole lot across your assets. So your logo, your headquarter address, your headquarter phone number, and then you can clone from the program template, making things much more consistent. You will reduce a lot of errors this way. So then once you clone it, you can kind of plug and play. You can edit what you need to for that program or event, and then you can edit and then test, and you are good to go. So I hate to be dramatic, but I kind of mean it when I say these are really life-changing as far as the amount of time you can reduce when you use this as your workspace. However, I will note that with great power comes great responsibility. So know where your tokens live, because if you forget you're using one of them somewhere and you change it, it will update. So you might have a form title or an event, heaven forbid, an event, and it updates on something else that you forget about, it will change. And there isn't necessarily an approval process for updating these tokens. So once you update it, it is live. So just something to be aware of, because while it is an amazing aspect of Marketo, you definitely need to use it carefully and mindfully.
Definitely. I think one thing to add on to that is program, well, tokens in general can be used at different levels. So they kind of work in a cascading model where you can put tokens at a parent folder level for global type of information, a logo that may hardly ever change, the footer content, maybe social, you have social elements in your emails or your landing pages that hardly ever change. Those elements can all be applied at a global level at the kind of parent folder under My Tokens, and all your other programs. So if we add a token here, of global token, and we say type. This webinar is the best. And we come down to our token program down here. We're going to see that same token be inherited by this program. So this is a great way to have efficiencies, especially for elements that are tied to your brand or to your kind of website that you may have form for 3 years, and instead of going through and updating hundreds or even thousands of assets to update that logo or that brand color or something like that, you update a token at the most kind of global level or highest folder level, and it would communicate down to every one of those programs that you've built. So just something to keep in mind there. And then I can't emphasize enough the aspect that Alex pointed out of a token doesn't have an approval process. When you're editing emails, editing landing pages, there's an approval process. Certain people have the ability to approve. You can make that kind of a permission so that not everyone can push things live. But on tokens, the minute you update it, it will reflect it in the live asset. So just be cautious when making those adjustments.
Additionally, to combat what Alex said, you can have your global tokens and be inherited, but you can also did have a program where you kind of had a one-off as far as your logo, or you needed to add something that wasn't on the same global scale, you can override on the program level if and when you need to not use that global token.
Thanks, guys. So as you can tell, Heilman Group is very passionate about tokens. Moving on to our next question here. AG, how do I move a lead through an engagement nurture?
Definitely. So with this question, I kind of want to start at the angle, making sure that when you build your nurture programs, you don't have a single stream that everyone is entered into and receiving the same communications. The first thing that you would want to do is kind of define what's the goal of that nurture program, and then what personas are you entering into that. And then those personas will really define what your streams should look like. So maybe your personas are based on product interest. You have different product lines, and therefore you want to segment your streams by different products. Or maybe to a C-level lead or prospect differently than a manager level. Areas to think about when your streams. And then once you kind of have defined those, you want to make sure you're collecting that information in some way, whether that is kind of via smart list, that you're saying somebody with a job title of C versus a job title of manager, or if it's looking the landing page they come in through, or the form they come in through, they're interested in product A versus product B. So that's kind of the starting point, I guess, is making sure you understand kind of how you want to build your different streams and lay out that information and who should be in which stream. Once you have that information, they have some pretty cool functionality within the streams themselves. So as you can see kind of on screen, we have an example here of kind of a stream set up based on product interest. So we have some product A where emails 2 through 6 would all be centered around that specific product. What kind kind of a hard sell on where to buy it or how to buy it towards the end. Then that's segmented by each product. And then at the end, we have kind of a bundle or a catch-all, if you will. I'd always recommend having kind of a default stream that would collect records that you may not have all the information you need to communicate to them or segment them as needed. And those would be thrown in there where the bundle or kind of default would be like a catch-all, if you will, to kind of mix in different products and see kind of where the record lands. And then how to move these people into individual streams. So you can have a initial entry, kind of smart campaign. Ours is driven off of a landing page. So when somebody fills out a specific landing page, we have kind of a progressive profiling question there that says, what product would you be interested in? If they select product A, they're going to then get thrown into kind of the product A nurture stream. Product B, if they didn't fill out that field because it's not a required field. So if they didn't fill it out, they would then kind of end up in that default stream of bundle where we kind of mix and match different content pieces within it. The other way you can move people is using the transition within the streams. So each stream kind of has the content that would be used within it. It also then has transition rules. And so a transition rule is not transitioning out of that stream, but it's actually transitioning into that stream. So what is the kind of trigger or the kind of trying to catch somebody and pull them into that stream? So here we have a kind of a progressive profiling question called area of interest. When it changes to A, so this is catching people. Inside sales is sourcing them, and through conversations they understand that this person is interested in product A versus product B. So on change of that field to receiving those communications. So and then kind of as you run through it, you could also structure the lead nurture program to be, instead of by product, you could have by a kind of awareness versus or somebody that's kind of shown interest versus somebody that's kind of in an opportunity stage, and then even like a recycle or garbage, if you will, stream that you could throw somebody in. And from that angle, you would use kind of the same process. You would just move somebody based on those key kind of aspects. So when somebody has their status changed to MQL, where you would communicate to them in a different way versus somebody that's brand new to your brand and just entering kind of your communication stream.
Great, thanks, Alex. Our next question here. Have someone receive an email?
Sure. So we actually get this question a lot from many different clients, asking if so-and-so got an email, how can we tell if they got an email, or they see this kind of dashboard and they say, hey, we sent out so many emails, but we see that only 5 were delivered. So, you know, what's going on there? So first, it's important to understand the different deliverability aspects. So you have your hard bounds, which can sometimes be a result of spam blockers, and other times, you know, maybe you hit a non-existent email. You have your soft bounces, usually meaning the inbox is full or something like that. Maybe your server response is unclear. You also have, no, that's it, right? Soft and hard bounce. There we go. Yeah. So what happens is there are different buckets you into with the. So what you can do to tell is, one of the ways is if you hit this dashboard, go up here to change your view back to your control panel. And click right here to view results. And what that will do is bring up a list of what happened with that email. So this was a list of Alex and Alex in many different versions, speaking of Inception. And you can tell right there that there were 2 bounces, email bounce, email bounce. But if you had a list of, hundreds or thousands of people, it wouldn't be quite as easy to decipher all of the bounces right away. So what you can do here is go and click on the email bounce, and it will bring up activity details. So you can see right here it says category. I'll explain that in a minute. Email, and then details, the recipient is invalid. So like I said, Marketo buckets you into some categories. So one would be a spam block. The message was flagged as spam, and that's going to be a soft bounce. Number 2, as you can see here, is an invalid email, and that will be a hard bounce, and Marketo will not try to re-deliver that email. 3 is mailbox is full. That will be a soft bounce, and Marketo, I believe, will try to deliver that again within 24 to 36 hours. 4 is technical, so something went wrong in the server end. That's also going to be a soft bounce. And number 9, I don't know why they go from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 9, but they do. It is undetermined, and that is a soft bounce. So they will try to send that again. So again, you can see that within here, if you only have a couple, that's an easy way to tell. Another way is you can change this filter up here. To create a custom bounce view. So if you go up to custom and click on email bounce soft, save as, name your filter as bounces and save. That will bring up all the bounce emails. Again, in this example, there's only 2 there, so pretty easy to tell who bounced. And a third way is to actually go to your email performance report, and you can filter out those categories. So if you go to your pull in that email performance report and go up to your smart list, is choose your email, and then go up to add constraint in the corner there and choose category. So category is 2, because in this case we happen to know that they were invalid emails, but you could switch out the category, and then you can kind of have a little bit more detail on why something bounced. And then the 4th way is actually if you had a specific person and you wanted to see if they received an email, you can go into their lead info and go to their activity log, and then actually see, was sent email, email delivered, and you can kind of gauge that way whether or not they received an email.
One thing just to add on to that, Alex, is the reason we use category to kind of look at is because Marketo already kind of buckets these into kind of areas. If you use detail, every server has the ability to send back kind of different information. So if you try to use details here as your constraint, it's hard to pinpoint or kind of bucket your records in a way, because those details could be different for every user, just because the kind of end user, their company, has the ability to customize those details that come back from the server.
Great, thank you. So it looks like we just have a few minutes left here today. So before we jump into the last question, I just want to be aware of everyone's time. We'll stick around and answer this last question here, but we'll also be circulating answers to all the questions that were asked today, and a recording of this webinar so everyone can review it in more detail. So with that being said, our last question here is regarding smart lists. So Alex, Ash, can you tell us a little bit more about using filters within smart lists?
Yeah, so filters are great, but again, and you know, like I said before, with great power comes great responsibility. So within a program, and if you have your list, you can create smart lists with different filters. So the first one we will go more than 2 filters. And definitely brush up on your Algebra 101 order of operations, because you're going to be using and ors, and or, and so you need to know how the parentheses work and where you're really saying, I want this group of people and this group or these people. So it's definitely, filters are really great because you can get really specific and really targeted with your audience, but they can be dicey. So for example, in this smart list here, we have member of list, state is Ohio, and was sent email. So we're saying that they are in SA leads and either 2 or 3. So either they're in Ohio or they were sent an email. So if we go to this 200, if we click into all, so we're using all the filters, meaning everyone who is in SA leads in Ohio and was sent an email. They need to hit all of that criteria. There are actually 0 people in that list. And then third, any. So if we go back to the smart list, same 3 filters, SA leads, Ohio, or was sent any email. So they could meet any of these criteria. That number jumps to, yikes, 62,961. So if you're generally not trying to send an email to 62,000, or you're trying to send it to 6,000 and you come up with 62,000 in your, go back to that smart list and look at your filters and see maybe where you went wrong. So definitely just be careful there, because there is also not an error message. Marketo will not actually stop you from doing this. So just something to be aware of when you are using these different filters.
And just kind of a quick overview of the filters. You actually change them in the top left corner. You would set them to all, any, or advanced, and Marketo kind of gives you the indication on what each one means. So when you select it, you'll see that kind of top area change to what you would like it to be. So just as kind of a preface, I guess, to what we just went through.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Alex and Alex. I think it's safe to say that we learned a lot about Marketo today. So Just to reiterate what I said before, we will be circulating answers to all the questions that were asked today, and a recording of the session. So thank you for questions, and happy marketing.